supposed to have a projector, but there is no projector, so everything's on here. But I could hand it out like a pamphlet.
Isn't it take home pamphlet?
No, it isn't that nonsense, so maybe. Okay. So my name's Ajay, and you recognize some faces. I do movement building. Progressive issues, and if it gets me, then I want to be involved. I like to be that mushroom Cillian network and then help things grow. So over the past 10 years I've been doing that offline, of course, when I first started out. So I love working in the downtown east side. I started there, and then I moved on to minorities and people of color. And now I do that as well as youth stuff. And in the last 2 years, since basically September of '09, and I remember the time because I spent 6 months resisting Twitter, and then ever since that's probably the common story for most people, you can't get off Twitter if you're a community organizer. So I was an offline community organizer, and then I went online, and I was using Facebook for 2 years prior to from like 2007 onwards, but Twitter just took it to the next level because, as you know, Facebook is all your personal friends and contacts. Twitter is like an international arena of public text messages, so you never know who's going to pick it up. Anyway, so that's me in a nutshell. I've been involved in some really cool projects. So three that I really like. One was Canadians for Obama. Who took who heard my talk on Saturday at Northern Voice? Just one? Sweet. So I can talk brand new about that stuff. Okay. Actually, yeah, I'll show you that, and I can pass it around. I'll load it up there. But basically, I started a group in 2007-8, at the beginning of 2008, Canadians for Obama. And I was a political organizer before with one of the parties, and I learned their skills, and I really didn't like that party or Canadian politics anymore, in terms of partisan politics. So then we went non-partisan. I'm sure many of us feel that way. And there's definitely benefits, but I think it's still top-down, and that was the issue, is that they didn't really want to listen to people. Whereas when I went to the US, I found, even though it is as political and interesting in terms of the dilemmas that happen over there, but the point is, the way that Obama organized off of our dean's way of organizing was super empowering. And it was a great lesson learned for us Canadians who organize. So we set up this Canadians for Obama, and it was a bunch of us, 20 of us, who went down to Seattle. And it was our first time, and we came from all stripes, so there's conservatives, liberals, NDPers, and people who never voted or participated. Under all that one banner, Obama put us. And we took over an office in Everett, Washington. I don't know if anyone's been to Everett, but it's pretty redneck. It was really bad, actually, especially for somebody like me, and people thinking I'm just I'm an involvement at some other crazy stories. But the point was, we got to see and meet Obama. So we made t-shirts that said Canadians for Obama. We open sourced that online, actually, on Flickr, and got our logo. But the point was that when we met Obama, we said, thank you so much for running. We've come all the way from Canada to help support you. And he looked at us and was like, wow, well, thank you for coming all this way. And it's like people like you that I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you for what you're doing. So that changed our movement of 20 people to say, okay, how can we leverage social media to actually amplify his message and get other Canadians to do what we're doing, so it's not just us. So we set up that website, which is a platform, and then we just rolled out people. And it was great. So we had about 500 volunteers over the year that made phone calls to the States using Obama's online system. And basically, you just use a Skype account and a laptop, and you log in. So you type in a zip code where you live. So people type in their zip code of their friends or family that they've had in the States. And then it pops names of people you should contact near to you or in the swing states. And so it'd be like, you know, who are you supporting? Why are you supporting? Do you know your polling station? And then you try to convince them to vote for Obama. So this was in the primaries all the way up to the election. So it was within the Democrats and then moving on to Republican stuff. So we made about 25,000 phone calls between all 500 people, and that was crazy. And then also people visited about 17 states. And all we did, which we were just a grassroots group, was to set up toolkits on how to teach people how to use these tools, and then just give them like advice when they do try to cross the border, because there's issues around the border. So that was really fun. So that when I came back from that, like after he won in like 2008, 2009, end of the year to the beginning of the year, was like, well, now what I do, it's so boring. Like, blew me off this huge wave. And I don't mean boring in terms of how we organize, I just meant the system is really making us apathetic. So from that, we organized stuff around climate change. So I did a lot of stuff around climate change. And one of the big things is learning what I knew beforehand, which was offline organizing, is to try to take it online and then back offline. So a friend had contacted me and said, hey, we're thinking of organizing this big parade on the bridge. I said, for what? He's like, well, it's a 350.org event, and what we want to do is basically get all these people having, a good time on the bridge. I'm like, well, that sounds pretty fun, but let's use online tools. He's like, no, but we always used to, use the megaphone and stuff. So over a month of, over 3 months, we basically took this idea to a point where we can actually have the Cambie Bridge taken over by people, and the city and everyone agreed. And we were hoping, and it was in late October, the event. It was called Bridge to a Cool Planet. And from an idea of like having 1,000 or 2,000 people, we had up to, estimates say, 10,000 people on the bridge in late October. And so I definitely credit social media. And the reasons I say that at the time, this is why I mentioned September 09 when I first started Twitter. I hadn't used Twitter prior to that, but I used Twitter for this event. So we created an account and a hashtag, and also we used Facebook. And one of my secrets for Facebook, which I can reveal now, because they've changed so many things on Facebook, is inviting people. So this is one quick advice, if I say the third story quickly, is that when you're organizing on Facebook and you have an event coming up, and it's a long time or if it's nearby, you want to try to invite all your own friends, right? But that's only a certain cloud of people who know you. But then you have other friends. So organically it happens that people invite, but now that events have become too popular, nobody really invites people to the events. At the time, what we used was you can do it like all, invite all button. So yeah, that's great. You can do invite all, and it wraps around all your friends at once. That's great. They've gotten into that feature now, but you can find other codes for that. But the beauty is when we have one of our organizing meetings for Bridge, we had about 15 people in the room with another 10 people who would like to volunteer. We actually took the laptop and logged everyone in and out of their accounts, and actually pressed that little toggle all button to get everyone. So just imagine this is September, and the event was end of October, we had maybe 60 people saying that they would like to come, and like maybe another 100 people awaiting reply. To get to 10,000, you're like, what? So what we did was we just went around the room with 15 people, and guess what the awaiting reply went in about an hour when we did this exercise? Well, half of it. I wish it was 12,000, but it was 6,000 people in an hour. Was the awaiting reply. And from that, and when people were using events a couple years ago, it just blossomed. Like it just went crazy, because then people see that. And they also see all their events that are potentially there. So it was totally an amazing way to organize online through collective power. Because everyone believed in that brand of having this event, so it wasn't like I was doing something funny with their account. It was just, we were writing personal message saying, hey, I'm organizing this event. Please bring your friends, or try to come up. So that was how we did that online. Of course, the event isn't just online. Like we did a lot of collaborations offline to partner with a lot of organizations like Arzina's Fans and other people. But the point was that we used social media to amplify that message. So that was Bridge to a Cool Planet, awesome success, 10,000 people. Here's for Belmont, 24,000 phone calls online. The last one was a recent one, and that was Shit Harper Did. Did anyone try out the website and the videos and stuff?
I saw it.
Yeah, you saw him, yeah. Mr. Dress Up, that's not one. So my friend Sean Dillon takes full credit. I don't want to take any credit. I was on their outreach, but the beauty of outreach was I was working like literally 10 or 12 hours a day for that, because I really believed in a progressive voice. So Shit Harper Did, the main premise of that is using humor, a simplified message, and then sourcing information. So we definitely had, I'm sure everyone saw it, like we had Harper with his kitty cat, and then we had a really funny opening line at the top, and then a fact, and then a link to where you can learn more. So Harper doesn't like women, for instance. You don't believe me? Check this out. And then he's cut 43% of women's funding over the last couple of years. Don't believe me? Check this link. And do you want to learn more? And then you can click a button and then it goes to the next page. So we used simple messaging, and then we also used a nice platform online. And it was really funny because we didn't understand the power of this. So we knew the progressives are diverse and we're all over the place, but we didn't understand that the power of Twitter and social media just took us by storm. So we launched this on a Wednesday, 2 weeks prior to the election. Within 4 hours, our website crashed with 1.5 million hits. 4 hours. And that was me and like 6 other people just tweeting things out. We had no idea who'd pick it up, and randomly I got emails and messages within that 4 hours of people all across Canada, randomly, like my friends, and I was like, what? And then the thing that we saw was that Margaret Atwood tweeted us, and she has 140,000 followers, just like George Stephanopoulos or some people like, but I would have never guessed Margaret Atwood. And she wasn't in our plan of people, because you want champions to help you retweet and say, hey, can you do this for me? But she wasn't in our plan. So that was the beauty of serendipity and like crazy ways of finding out, wow, this person likes this idea. And then she kept liking this idea. So she kept writing at least another 50 or to 100 tweets from that and 2 weeks up to the election. And that helped us so much, because she's like, well, I didn't even know about this thing. Well, I didn't know about this thing. And then somebody we didn't create the Shit Harper did hashtag, somebody did, of course, which is beautiful. And that just trended as much as Canadian Poly on Twitter and Election 41. And that's really exciting to see that level of interest. And then it wasn't just us making content. Twitter was another source where people were sharing information that what Harper did was wrong. So whatever your political beliefs are, I don't want to say that you should become progressive. The point is, learn strategy from your opponents and your enemies or your friends. So the point of this for me was, it was exciting to see this kind of movement again, using online tools to get people connected and excited about causes. So from those 3 stories, like the main things that I learned, and I'll open up to the floor in a little bit, was there's 4 big ones, and I have 5 big ones. So when you're with a big group or an agency, there's also a lot of complexity, right? So there's a continuum. So there's simple versus complex, I say. Right? So what we want to do is take complex terms and simplify them, like we did for Shit Harper did, or many other things. And what I do with one of my nonprofits that we started was Rungi Chungi. It's a group that tries to combine, eco-justice and social justice. It tries to look at visible minorities in the green movement. It does a lot of things. But what I say is it brings color to the green movement. Right? So I've taken a complex issue and simplified it, and that makes it easy for people to resonate what the main mandate is. And we know that from branding, but I'm just saying, when you're doing your campaign and you're doing online, offline things, and we have a lot of diverse information, with the power of Twitter, you don't want to put everything into Twitter. You just schedule out your tweets or your Facebook status updates or your website to blog out or send out these messages every week with a different message. So even though you have like 5 different things that you want to do, you can schedule them all. So the point is to take those complex things and make it simplified.